Phil Knight.
Shoe
Shoe Dog.
That's what it was.
Book. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We're live, right?
No. Yeah. I mean,
Okay. We're recording. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
cut this out. But you know what I loved about that is I think he started that company in 1960, right? Selling shoes, trying to make great shoes, having to borrow money from one of the guys that was a salesperson that was in a wheelchair, and the struggles they went through and the track meets and everything they did. And his buddy who stuck with him, the mom lent him like $3,000 and let's call it 1970. I'm getting the dates wrong, but a
while ago.
And they were paycheck to paycheck till 1973. 13 years. Then they got it and went public, and they had a windfall.
Right.
But I love books like that because they describe the struggles those people go through to build that, that kind of brand and that kind of business.
Right.
And we talked about it because Oregon is a benefactor, Oregon University, of Phil Knight.
Yeah.
And you said they have the highest
It's up there.
money for a college. Yeah, for a college. So anyway, Shoe Dogs, great book. 13 years of battling, and then things went well, and then they had their ups and downs.
Are
and then
we recording this? Because
No, we're going.
This has a lot to do with real
I think
estate.
this is great. This is wonderful.
You're not unlike Phil Knight in the sense that your first couple years in this business, you probably didn't draw a paycheck or very much of one, right?
Yeah, it wasn't 13 years, but it was not pretty.
Hey, I started in 1979, and it was 1981 before I drew a paycheck.
Yeah,
Yeah. So in my business,
right. Yeah, there's a lot of learning that goes on in those early years.
I have a quote from Hal hanging on my cubicle wall at work, and what I did was, what happens is I sit here and I edit the podcast, and you'd said something that stood out, and I wrote it down in big, like 26-point font, and it's on a 8x10 piece of paper, and it says, "Successful investing is boring." And it really rings true that it's like this thing. And now people they always make fun of me because they think I'm like stashing money away or something like that, like keeping pennies in a jar,
right,
or something like that at work. But I mean, it's kind of the same theory, It's like you got to wait for things to manifest, before they catch on, and you can start building. It's a snowball effect.
Yeah, snowball effect. Yeah. Well,
saving your first 100,000 takes a long time. The second 100,000 comes really fast.
Yeah.
The
first 1,000.
That's how it works.
The first 1,000 took the longest.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Hal,
Okay, what are we talking about?
Real estate.
Real quick, before we get to real estate, I want to say I was wrong. Oregon's actually number 19.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
On red. So I'll just give you top. Oregon's 19, top 5, 1 Ohio State, 2 Texas, 3 Alabama, 4 Michigan, and 5 is Georgia.
Okay.
And then there's
Ohio State's
number 1.
Well, okay. I always thought they were just good because my dad's from Ohio, but they just have the most money.
$251 million
is what they have for athletics.
Yeah.
That's what they pay their quarterback.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
These are all big school, all Pac-12, Big Ten, ACC schools.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay,
go
what
ahead.
are we talking about?
We're talking about changes in the market, some things we're noticing here. Yeah.
Okay. So what's going on out there?
Well, I mean, so it's funny how you get used to certain things, right? So a lot of people think the real estate market's not great, but if you look historically, it's kind of average, right? Days on the market still 30 to 45 if you sell, and it might take 80 or 90 if you're slow. And sometimes people don't get the price they want, and guess what? That's normal. So they come off the market. Inventory is coming back to a level that is way more than it was before, percentage-wise. And at the same time, historically, it's still below normal, right?
Right.
We have someone that was nice enough to come to us to help them buy a house, and they had a large budget, like $4 million low end, $6 million high end. So that gets you a lot of home. They wanted something in a gated area. They wanted to see the ocean, and they've been looking for 2.5 years, and nothing has tickled their fancy. So they're expanding out. Might go to Southern California, and it's what I always tell people is the great thing about San Luis Obispo is you don't have traffic. You don't have, big city problems normally. I mean, in small scales, maybe. And there are just not that many homes. It's a small number of people and a small number of inventory. So when things take a little bit longer to sell, we're a little bit shocked. But what we've noticed is there's a lot of people that think the market's not doing too well. And there's some people that are attached to the fact that, well, we should get multiple offers because that's the way it was for the last, from 20 to 23, which was an anomaly, right? That much overbidding, demand versus supply. Demand was up here, supply was down here, versus now we're stabilizing, depending on it. So what we hear more about now is people selling their houses like without even going on the market.
So what are the pluses and minuses of doing that?
Well, there's lots of different ways this happened too. And it surprised me because a past client of mine came to me and says, I'm looking to buy a house. Nice gentleman. I've known him for years. His wife unfortunately passed a few years ago. He had a rural home. And I go, great. Well, what are you going to do with your house? Well, I've sold it. I go, oh, good. I didn't see it come up for sale. I go, no, somebody wrote a letter to me and all my neighbors, and I wasn't thinking about it too much, but I got a very good offer, so I decided to take it, and I've already closed, and I've got 6 months to rent back, and I want to move into town. Oh, cool, good for you. We can do that. And I know this person. He's a former broker, so he sent out letters, and most people aren't that industrious, but that's what we call an off-market sale.
Right.
A private sale. Sometimes it's a neighbor going, I've always wanted to buy your house. If you ever move, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to move into it and put my kids here, do that sort of thing. It could be a real estate agent has a conversation with someone and they're thinking of selling and they go, well, we actually have a buyer. I know somebody does. And they go, well, I don't really want to put it on the market. Okay. So it can happen all those ways. It can be also somebody's come to me to list the house and we're doing some work on it to get it ready for the market. And we happen to have someone or someone calls and they want to buy it and they go, well, gosh, I don't have to do the work. I'll sell it this way. So we'll call them off-market sales, but they come in various forms like that.
Right.
Right. So your question was, what is the upside or downside?
Yeah. Well, my guess is there are, if you're the agent that I'm working with,
yes,
and you come to me and say, hey, I've got a buyer and my house isn't on the market, what are the pluses and minuses I should be aware of before I agree to move forward?
Well, not as much today, but when the market was more demand than supply and we had the majority of homes were getting overbid, well, if you took an offer without exposing it to the marketplace, you risk leaving a lot of money on the table.
Okay.
Okay.
So you risk leaving money on the table by doing that.
Now, okay, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but if you also have a broker and you have multiple offers and they don't know how to manage that process, right, and how to negotiate with multiple bidders, like you're somewhat of an auctioneer, you also leave money on the table. Okay. So again, having someone that has that knowledge. So in this case, you risk not having another buyer that's in the marketplace that because they didn't know your home was for sale, missed it, and they might have paid more than you got from this private or off-market type offer.
So I could put it on the market and possibly get more than one buyer, which might drive the price up.
Correct.
Okay.
Or you're taking less than the market, bears and somebody. So yeah, a buyer that will pay more.
Okay.
Bottom line.
So is it possible then that I could put it on the market and my off-market buyer either goes away or sees that nobody else is making an offer on this house, and now my off-market buyer that was willing to pay me X is now going to is willing to pay me something less than X?
Absolutely possible.
So you got to weigh the risk of pluses and minuses of whether you do this.
Well, let's take it to the next level. So let's say you didn't get any off-market offers. You weren't looking. You list your house like most people do, and you get an offer 3 weeks in, and you're looking at it. It's not quite what you want. You're trying to decide whether or not to take it, to counter it, to let it go. And the decision you make is, if I just wait 3 more weeks or till after the first year, I wonder if there's someone who'll pay more. That's the decision. That's the thought in every seller's head for the most part, right? Could I get more if I waited? Okay. In certain markets, unequivocally, yes. In other markets, probably not. And in most markets, you just don't know. So my joke when I talk to people, when they get offers, is I say, every seller wants to respond to an offer. They want to take 3 weeks to respond, just in case someone else is out there. And every buyer that submits an offer wants to know in 5 minutes. So that's the rub a little bit. So as I look at this, I think of taking a market offer off before the house is listed or on the market may not be as much of a downside risk as it used to. Okay. But it also tells me that people think, if this is simpler and easier, don't have to show it, don't necessarily have to get it ready. They're going to take it as is because it might be hard to sell the house. And it also tells me that people think that, I don't know if I can get a buyer. Okay. I don't know if this is the right time to sell. Okay. So they have to make that decision. I had a client recently that has a home that's near the campus that he bought for his children. He was thinking, yeah, well, probably after the beginning of the school year, early spring, that's when a lot of parents buy like I did. I think it'll be better. And I go, yeah, absolutely. Could be a good time. There's no season, but that's kind of the parents buying for kids season that was unique to San Luis near the university. And I said, at the same time, there's not much for sale now. And there are still people buying houses for their kids. And there's also people buying as a primary residence. And this one had a lease. So you run the risk if you put it on the market now in December, November, that somebody's going to go, well, I want to move in a month and the tenants have a lease, so we can't get in. So we have to wait. So guess what? We're going to lose that buyer, right? But we wouldn't have had that buyer anyway. But we put it on the market now and we're having already like 2 offers on the house. So they're happy about that versus waiting till after the first of the year. So we're, recording this at the end of the year. So is it going to be better next year? I don't know, right? We talked about another NAR survey says there are more sales. It really just depends what's happening in the environment. And at the same time, if this trend kind of continues, maybe there'll be more homes for sale, which usually people do. So this whole off-market thing is just really interesting, but it just tells me if you're out there in the public and you're thinking about doing it, you might want to get some advice.
Yeah. Well, this whole conversation has now become personal.
Okay.
You probably don't remember this, but I remember it vividly well. That in 2014, you sat down at our kitchen table and my wife and I were thinking about selling the house. And you were such a good salesperson that you walked away with a listing agreement that 24 hours later we said, oh, we changed our mind. You remember that?
Oh, okay. I forgot that, but okay. I blank out anything negative. So yeah, it's erased out of my head.
And less than a year later, you called me on a Thursday evening and said, hey, are you still thinking about selling? Because I have a buyer.
Oh, I do remember that.
Okay.
Because you were in Hawaii on the beach and I was working.
We were.
Oh, you were not there.
We
okay.
let the people look at the house.
That's what it was.
And we were leaving. We let them look on Saturday. We were leaving for Hawaii on Monday.
Yeah.
And so we said when we left, thank you very much for the offer. We're very grateful to have an offer, but we can't make a decision that quickly. So we're on vacation for 10 days. We'll respond when we get back.
Okay.
We happened to be going to Hawaii with my college roommate, whose wife was a realtor in LA. Mm-hmm. And she goes, are you crazy? So we were sitting drinking Mai Tais on the beach.
This is how business decisions are made.
Responding on DocuSign to accepting the offer, 3 days later, because she told us that we were crazy not to accept the offer. Number one, we thought that the price was fair for the market that we were in on that day. Mm-hmm. And number two, she explained that we didn't have to hold open houses. We didn't have to do anything. The house was already sold.
Right.
We didn't have to show it. We didn't
prep it.
Have to clean it.
No.
We didn't have people walking through it. It was a done deal. And so I've always wondered, did I leave money on the table? And then I go, well, was I happy with the sale of the house? And I was. Yeah. I walked away feeling like, I got a fair price and the buyer got a fair price and it was a good deal all around.
What phone call was it that I made to you
that's funny.
Made you very unhappy?
That is funny.
Was it a request to repairs or was it a counteroffer?
No. I gave you a price that I would sell the house for. Mm-hmm. And that was Saturday when they came to look at the house. And you called me Saturday night, and we had house guests. And you know what you do when you barbecue?
You were basting?
I was
basting the meat?
Basting. Okay. And I was a little basted myself.
Okay.
And you brought back an offer.
So the barbecue was dry, but you were not. Okay.
You brought back an offer for $15,000 less than what I told you I'd sell the house for. And, we'd known each other a few years, and I called you some choice names that you would only call your friend when you were basted. Yeah. And I go, don't call me back unless you bring me the number I gave you.
Did I say something quippy like, so does that mean no?
Probably. But then, you son of a gun, you called me back the next day with the number that I requested. And sure enough, now I had to make a damn decision.
Yeah.
And I'm going to Hawaii the next day.
Right.
So that's kind of what happened.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, there was value to us in selling it off market because, I set the price, and I would want to believe that you would have coached me if I set it too low. I
Right.
would have thought I set it a little too high. Because I would think if you're going to sell off market and not
Yeah.
expose it to the market, you're saying to the seller, "Hey, look, I'll sell it to you, but I'm going to sell it to you at the price that I think is fair and maybe even a smidge above."
Yeah.
Right. So anyway,
There was a thing that's not online anymore, but it used to be called "Make Me Move," right? Where people would
Okay.
put their house online and go, "Well, yeah, for $1.5 million, come take a look." Right?
Yeah.
It was a "Make Me Move." We used to find possible listings that way. I remember.
and
I
it was
remember,
$1.3 million house, right?
or something, or
Yeah.
sometimes not.
Yeah.
But I think. So it just tells me, to the listing public, if you're thinking of selling a property but you're not sure about the price, talk to someone that's in the business that can at least guide you and tell you, yeah, that would be realistic or not. And then should they be concerned about putting it on the market? Should they put it on the market? And again, the off the market offers are generally for properties that have high demand or specific demand.
Right.
Meaning it might be a horrible property in a horrible location, but the buyer is the neighbor
Right.
and they want a place for their kid, where the rest of the market could care less about the. So it's based on the type of property you have and who the potential is. And sometimes you find that buyer, it's like, you got a guest house, I need a guest house, I'm going to buy from, I don't care, we want to come make an offer.
Well, you have at least one listing that I can think of that you just took in the recent days, and it's not on the market yet, but the plan is to get it on the market.
Yeah.
But don't you always ask the seller the question, if we find a buyer before it actually goes on the multiple listing service, would you let them look and would you entertain an offer?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and some say yes and some say no, right?
And most people don't understand that. Okay. Because generally I feel better if it's exposed to the market. Right? Because people will question, like, well, did you
question your integrity a little
did you sell it too low, or okay.
right.
So it's better to go on the market. And at the same time, if I have a seller and there's someone that's interested, it might be good to show them the buyer. Now, do you have to accept an offer? No. If they want to make an offer and you're not on the market yet, and maybe you're not even sure if you're selling, would it be okay to have an offer presented to you? A lot of people would be worried about that. There's no harm in someone submitting an offer on your house, even if it's not on the market, even if it's not listed, if you're not sure. But you look at it and go, oh, okay, now I want to have a discussion about what this would mean, when I would move, am I leaving money on the table, that sort of thing. So if you're officially going to go on the market, but the offer comes in before then, you have the choice. And I just explained it to people. You can accept it because you think it's great and don't want to do anything else. You can reject it, or you can make a counter offer, or just say, man, this is great. We really appreciate it. And I really feel like I want to put on the market, but we're going to give you the first opportunity, right? Which is really not a commitment to a buyer, but it's just like, we're going to treat you right, because that may end up being the best buyer. So you don't want to burn that bridge, right? So, it's like you talking about hiring people, and you might meet a great candidate but you just don't have the spot for him at this time.
Right.
But it's just like, boy, let's keep in touch because this could change.
Right.
So
I hear this term used occasionally called a quiet listing. What's the difference between a quiet listing and an off-market type deal?
it's all the same, just different names. Some
Okay.
sound better. We like to call it quiet listing, so it's listed, but it's not on the market. We used to call them pocket listing because it's just in my pocket. Off market, pre-sale.
So that might be someone who has said to you that I want to sell my house.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to help me sell my
Yep.
house, but I really don't want to put it on the multiple listing service. I don't want to sign in my front yard. I don't want the neighbors to know.
Yep.
But if you want to bring us a buyer, we would entertain. That's more of a quiet listing.
Pure. That's kind of the definition of that.
Pocket,
I'm definitely want it. I've got an agent. Just don't let anybody know except the one or two people that you talk to. Word will get out in a small town, honestly, like this. But yeah, that's normal.
Is there, I've never really understood the value of a quiet listing, because if I've got a house for sale, don't you think I have a better chance of selling it if I tell the world?
Yeah. Well, you want the most options. If you're a buyer, you want to know about everything that's for sale on and off the market. If you're a seller, you want to know that everybody that's out there that's interested.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have more choices with doing that. I mean, it's inconvenient, but again, some people just don't like people coming through their house.
Yeah.
Or they have an impression that we have to clarify that I'm going to have 90 people in my home. Well, we'll be lucky if we have 3 over the weekend. That could honestly be what it looks like. So you just don't know.
Isn't this kind of what we're talking about? One of the reasons why so many people do come to your team, because you do have access to more listings and more off-market listings, more quiet listings, more pocket listings than most of the agents in town?
Well, yeah, just having been around a long time, a lot of people rely on me for real estate advice and talking about it. So they'll call me and we'll have conversations. And I'll talk to people for 2 or 3 years that are thinking about selling, and now this process has made me realize I've got to do a better job for those clients who are just thinking about it. Say, hey, there are buyers out there. If there was one, even though they told me they don't want to sell, and you got a good offer, would you even want to look at it? Yes. Okay. And then we just keep track of those. So it's an option for the buyer, and it's also getting the seller what they want. Maybe if they don't even know they want it, we're not forcing it on them. We're just telling them, hey, this happens. So would that be a win for you if that happened?
That's what you did with me, actually.
Yeah.
I could still be living in that house today. I mean, we sold the house because it wasn't a good house for me in retirement.
Yeah.
And in the physical condition of getting older.
Yep.
And yet we could still be living there today. I'm not in the wheelchair yet, but we wouldn't want to be living there. We could be.
Yeah. Well,
So there are a lot of people like that, I think.
Well, here's the thing, and I've seen the studies on this. The average home seller is older than it used to be, right? And so the baby boomers, average age is 60 to 65. For a seller, they're usually downsizing, right?
Right.
And it's a big decision. You're in your house, you're comfortable. Change is tough.
Oh my God.
I don't want to pick the clutter. I mean, there's so many reasons
This is where
not
the kids
to do
were
it.
raised.
So many reasons to not do it. And it's one of those things that almost everybody says, I wish I would have done it sooner.
Yeah.
Okay. So isn't that interesting? You got a buyer that waits to buy and they go, if I would have bought in 2019 instead of 2021 or whatever it is, waited. And you think about sellers go, man, we've been thinking about this for a while. Then they do it and they're happy they did. I mean, it's just interesting how we just don't go, well, let's give it a try. It's a bold person that does that. I'm one of them. I mean, I'm not the bold person.
You just moved.
Yeah, 29 years. Like, I don't want to move. I'm just working and we'll do our thing, and my wife was looking and looking and looking. Unfortunately, her realtor was horrible. So finally we saw one that I kind of liked and I went, okay. So yeah, it's, again, if you're thinking about it, if you just remove all the obstacles and go, okay, would I prefer to be in this house or would I prefer to be near my kids in a smaller house or closer to the beach or have a 2-story, not a 1-story, So just think about that, remove the clutter and go, okay, then talk to a professional about what's it going to take. And we'll talk about the financial side if it makes sense for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, off-market listings.
Off market. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah.
But then you don't get my beautiful photos taken if you're off market.
That's a good point. Maybe we could do a family photo package for them.
There you go.
Because we didn't use your services.
Yeah, they come in here to the studio. And we
Christmas photos.
That's
Christmas.
an interesting comment, because one of the things that we don't have about our old house is photos from when we moved out, because we never had.
Well, I know the buyer. We can go in there and get some pictures. So that's service, right?
Yeah,
Right,
that is.
okay.
With a
can I tell
smile.
you- before we sign off, I want to tell
Yeah.
you a quick story about the buyer of our house.
Oh yeah.
I ran into her at another house that she was looking to buy, that
Right.
I went and had to open a door for you as a
Yeah,
favor to you guys. And I didn't know if she'd remember that I was but she remembered right away.
Okay.
And she told me this story. In our doorway going into the kitchen, with a pencil, we had marked the kids as they'd gotten taller and
The heights.
at this age, all the heights. And she goes, we painted the house, but we didn't paint that. We just added our daughter.
Oh, that's
Her
cool.
daughter.
cool.
She made me cry sitting there going, okay, we are so glad we sold the house to somebody who gave a cred, you know?
You're welcome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You're welcome.
That was all me.
I'm pretty sure Hal asked him about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting stuff.
Market.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all that great information. So those of you that liked our content, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to us everywhere you get your podcast. It's not just on video, so you can see these two amazing gentlemen here. Yeah, that's it. Anything else?
We're due
Alex?
for a guest. I'm sorry.
We
for
are
our
due
wife.
for a guest. Yeah. We're going crazy.
It's
We're going
amazing.
crazy in here. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully in a couple of weeks we can get somebody. We're working on a big guest, right? Somebody famous, I heard. Right? Slow famous, at least. I don't know. Famous. I guess.
I'm not.
The two
we're
most
not
famous
supposed to-
guys I know are sitting in front of us right now.
Speaking of the guy
I
on
can't
the radio,
remember. I don't know.
Yeah, you're the most famous guy in here.
No, that's not
true.
true.
Yeah,
Jeff
you are.
Kingdon's
You- by far.
No,
Yeah.
no.
By far.
KZOZ, baby.
Your
Come
voice
on.
is famous.
Yeah, just the voice is famous.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah. People know who you guys are. Say, I don't do the whole
I don't know.
photo thing.
What,
know
what's your
about that.
time slot? 6 to 9?
6 to 10 in the
6
morning.
to
See?
10.
So you
People
don't even know.
People don't even
Good
know what
job.
time we're on. See?
Yeah. I get it.
That's why you
all right.
subscribe to the podcast. Then we just deliver it to you.
I do-
When it's ready to go, you get it in your feed, and it's like boom.
Right there.
Pete, I'm hungry.
Well, I do listen to him, and I text him when I think things are funny to let him know that he's doing a great job. So,
Okay.
Was that you
Yeah,
this
sure.
morning?
no, that wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody named James texted. I was like, that's not James Swinnerman.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We're right underneath the time of our 30-minute podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, and we'll talk to everybody next time.
We'll see you soon.
Bye bye.